And welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to another episode where me, your host, Hey, it's just Dan, is going to go ahead and talk to you about the current state of the hobby. So, the main question today is going to be: is the Pokemon TCG the main meta that everyone's running? And let me explain. Like, if you're outside looking in, you're going to see a lot of people are jumping into this hobby. Like, you're starting to see some different kind of people jumping in. Like, we're talking about celebrities, we're talking about athletes, we're talking about people who have real wealth, right? Which is interesting because a lot of people, for the longest time, they thought that Pokemon is just like a dorks of video games. Pokemon is a card collectible. But now, as it keeps hitting mainstream media, more people keep jumping in, and I guess maybe bigger people are making it public that they're also into this hobby, which is a little alarming. Regardless, we're gonna go ahead and talk about this. Where I'm gonna show you a clip. I'm gonna show you 5 different clips from 5 different stages that people can be into it right now because of this hobby, and I want you guys to maybe think about what we're seeing. Maybe we can have some different thoughts. Maybe we can discuss it in the comments. But let's go ahead and get started with it. Now, for the first clip, this is pretty insane. Because look, you guys have to ask yourself, like, yes, the Pokemon hobby is extremely popular, but who am I collecting against? And this video is pretty insane. Now let's go ahead and begin and watch.
I'm all in.
This isn't just a collection, it's a legacy. Ready for round two?
Now, look, that is an insane video. I mean, if we're really talking about it, that's an insane video. But that's like a movie trailer quality video, but it's not for a movie trailer. It's actually just someone kind of flexing their collection, to mainstream media. But the way they're doing it, they're doing a movie quality video talking about their collection. That's kind of insane. And look, the person, her name I guess is Jolina Giselle, and I guess she's like also a supermodel overseas, over there in Europe. If I have any European viewers, let me know, confirm this or whatnot. If I'm wrong, please go ahead and right. But this is from like my immediate gathering, because whenever I'm doing this kind of video, I'm gonna do the bare minimum research, obviously, and it's just gonna be super opinionated. But no, honestly, Jolina Giselle, I never have heard of her, but obviously, if this is her house, because we don't know, like we can't assume what everyone shows us is real, right? She could be showing off someone else's collection. She could just be the face, right? But that's an insane collection, whether if it's from PSA or not. Sealed, like just cards, you can crack those slabs, and just in the raw card value is insane. So, who are we really collecting against? I talked about it last time. Twice Baked Jake has been seeing also. He was kind of like me. Like, I talked about him talking about it, right? But he was illustrating that couple people, like, I guess if you're doing big shows or big conventions, but big shows, like really big shows. We're talking about the shows where you're really moving some money. Because yes, you can make money in the hobby, but it's on these big vending shows, big conventions worldwide in different areas, right? Where these celebrities, with these high ballers, with the people with have really big, deep pockets, go buy and collect stuff. That's wherever you start seeing the 1,000, 2,000, 3,000 deals happen on a daily basis. Now, if you're anything like me, maybe like, a blue collar worker, a family man, someone who's trying to set a set budget to Pokemon and not overdo it, I can't compete against that. 100% no. Like, even if I, for some reason, went blow for blow using my ego, I would tap out way sooner than they would tap out. But if that's who we're really collecting, that's insane, right? Like, if the hobby isn't already hard enough to try to get some of these products at MSRP, whenever we're talking about some of these cards that are grails, We're competing against people who have very, very deep pockets. Look, and this kind of opens up to my next question. Like, not like a next, yeah, it's like my next question. Like, look, a couple years ago, we had, I don't know how familiar you guys are with football, but we had an athlete, Odell Beckham Jr., who signed a contract, but he opted out in getting paid in Bitcoin, in cryptocurrency, rather than your standard, cash transaction, all right, or direct deposit, whatever you want to call it. But he wanted to get paid in his contract by crypto. And this is whenever crypto was making a big push, trying to hit mainstream media. He took a big contract, I think earlier in the year. Aaron Rodgers, the quarterback for the Green Bay Packers, Pittsburgh Steelers, New York Jets, whatever team he's going to go to next, because he doesn't want to retire, right? He also was giving out people crypto, Bitcoin on Cash App. I'm a big fan of Aaron Rodgers, so I sent a message too, because you all had to do like reply on Twitter, and they would send you some money, and sure enough, they did, right? But now you're having celebrities, and you're having a model, let's show her collection. Is like, are some of these people maybe getting their contracts paid in collections and collectibles? And it's not the worst idea possible either, because in a sense, whenever you're getting paid in collectibles, right, per se, it's like you're getting paid in a physical form of the stock market. Because yes, the value fluctuates. It goes up and down, right? Depending on the set, depending on the general consensus, depending on the bear market or in the bull market for that Pokemon that it has right now, which is insane. A TCG, a card game, has its own bear market and bull market. Like, that is insane. But are some people like these getting paid in collectibles? Look, Pokey mentioned before in one of his earlier videos, he's mentioned that the Japanese market in the United States is getting a lot harder to manage because the Yakuza is buying out and setting up a set price for the Pokemon product leaving Japan, right? So there's not much of a big margins for resale value. I believe that big reason why Pokemon here in the United States is going to like direct distributors is just so they can weed out like prime syndicates here in the United States. And this is me putting on my conspiracy theory, but also I strongly believe that there is a big portion of Pokemon product that goes missing, right, from whenever it leaves a company and it's supposed to hit big box retailers, that it goes missing. And the only way it really goes missing at big quantities like that is organized crime. So it's smart if people are getting paid, and I'm not going to be surprised, right? Pokemon is creating their own direct line, but what if people are starting to get paid or will get paid later on using Pokemon product? Now, my best example could be with the Paul brothers, with the Pokemon Illustrator, with Logan's Paul, with one of those Paul brothers Pokemon Illustrator card that just got auctioned off for $16 million. Who did it get auctioned off to? Everyone's saying like a Pokemon collector, right? But he also happens to be the son of someone that works within the U.S. government. Look, we got the poly market, we got Kalshi, we got transactions happen like that on the secret now. But maybe this is a way that can benefit both people. But yeah, someone's auctioning off a card, they're getting a big money behind it, but for all we know, there can be some underlying details why that card got bought for that price, because there's no reason why that Pokemon card should have gone for $16 million. Absolute no reason, unless there was heavy writing underneath that no one got to see. Maybe down the road we will see, right? We'll see what's the purpose of behind it. For all we know, they're using him to kind of promote other TCGs. He's kind of like the face, like Paul, right? Jake Paul or Logan Paul. It has to be Logan Paul, right? Logan Paul is the face for like, the Pokemon Illuminati, if you will, right? That control the market, and they're using him as a pawn. And maybe he is the pawn, and that was the way that he got agreed to terms and contract. He got paid 16 mils to do that, which is interesting, right? But that's who we're collecting. We're collecting against celebrities now. It was insane thinking not too long ago that the biggest celebrity advertising Pokemon was Chun-Li from Pawn Stars. But now we got supermodels, we got celebrities, we got athletes like showing their collection on social media. And this is only the start. Kim Kardashian is doing it. I mean, what? doing Pokemon now, so that's insane. You know, maybe one day she'll run across my table. No, she won't. Anyways, and I wouldn't want to sell that. But that's gonna be like, who are we really collecting? Now, for the next video that we're gonna go showing, it's gonna be a question that you might have. Look, in the beginning stages of Pokemon collecting, one of the biggest things that you always want to do and everyone kind of focuses on is collecting at MSRP. It's extremely hard now. Before it was easier, but now for the last year and a half, going on to 2 years, buying anything at MSRP is extremely hard. And sometimes whenever you're walking around the stores, whenever you least suspect it, is whenever you get hit with a fresh Pokemon restock. So let's look at this video and let's go ahead and talk about it. What would you do if this happened to you and if you heard these magic words?
Wow, I'm finally first in line for the Pokemon cards and get to pay MSRP instead of paying those dirty scalpers. Well, there's a lot of people in line. I should probably only take one item to leave some for those kids over there. After all, this hobby was originally supposed to be just for kids. She's opening up the cabinet. Okay, sir, so we're fully stocked today with every set, booster bundle, and ETB, and there is no limit. So what do you want? All of it.
So that video made by Ginger Josh is a good question. What will you do if you hit a fresh restock and now every single store basically has a limit, but you heard those magic words, no limit? What will you do? Like, honestly, and I think that's a big question with most people right now, because I feel like there's a lot more scalpers hiding themselves as collectors, right? And I'm not, look, if you're trying to make your money in Pokemon, absolutely go for it and do it. The more people who are trying to make money off of Pokemon, the more people it brings into the hobby, the more collectors, the more opportunities to make better deals, right? And honestly, I've been having more fun in this hobby right now because my co-workers are collecting. I got friends who I haven't talked to in years are collecting, right? I'm doing videos on this, and we have new collectors, we have graders watching me, a new content creator about this, you know, on a daily basis. You know why? Because the Pokemon hobby is big. So for me, I like the hobby being this big because it also makes it more fun and interesting for me, right? But if you do hit a restock, a fresh restock with no limit, do you stay true to your words and you just buy enough for yourself? Do you buy it all out, or you can't buy it out but you buy everything that you can because you have a hard budget? Look, here's a pro tip. Set a budget for the Pokemon TCG. Don't burn yourself out. If you have $1,000 saved up, spend $100 every single month. You know, make it last. Especially if you do burn out 3 months in, then you only spent $300 rather than the $4,000 in 1 week, right? Because once you run out of money, what do? Spread it out. You know, what do they call it, like cross average into the hobby. $100 every single month in different parts and different collections could do very beneficial for your long-term growth, especially if you're going to be in this hobby for the long term, right? So be financially smart about it, right? I personally set myself a budget for the Pokemon hobby. You know, me and my wife combine our finances and I get a certain amount for Pokemon. But like, look, I know a lot of you guys are Caleb Hammer fans. You guys are absolutely Caleb Hammer fans. I'm more of a Dave Ramsey kind of guy, but I watch Caleb Hammer and he does drill a lot on guys about buying collectibles and energy drinks. Those are my two biggest vices. I don't smoke, but I definitely buy an energy drink like almost every other day. I buy Pokemon cards, you know, at least, you know, almost like, not every day, but like almost every single weekend I'm buying something new, right? But it's because it has my budget. My wife has her budget for her own things, right? Her nails, her hair, grooming her dogs. And she also has a Pokemon budget. Her Pokemon budget is my Pokemon budget because she waits until I buy some Japanese packs and she rips them with me. And God, I love her, but that's some freaking bullshit, you know? And I can't really fight her because, you know, she's like 4'11". She's Hispanic, she's a Latina, so you know she brings that heat, like she hits, right? When she wants to, she hits. She's very firm, and she's also part Japanese, so you know, double reinforce that. Like, yo, I don't really stand a chance against her, and you know, good. thanks to her, she actually follows my budget and we do fairly well. But like, stick to a budget, right? But like, if you're in that situation like me and you already maxed out your budget, would you reach more into your personal savings for it? Do you call the wife, hey, can I do this? That's interesting. Personally, like, I do see a lot of people using a credit card to buy everything out with the intentions of reselling everything and covering their losses or covering their debt and making some profit. But a lot of people buy some stuff and they start ripping and they're very weak blooded. Look, my advice, set a budget. If you hit a fresh restock with a no limit, I don't know. That's up to you. Maybe like, if you're looking to collect some stuff, then buy the more higher end box sealed stuff, like make it hurt. If you see nothing but ETBs, buy the ETBs, right? Especially even if they're from like the best sets, like Perfect Order, and Chaos Rising, right? Look, and I was thinking about the last episode where I told him like someone got shot over Pokemon cards in the Crow, like, which is interesting. Like, what set do you think it was? Was it Ascended Heroes? Because Ascended Heroes is fairly new and a lot of product is kind of hitting some shelves. Prismatic Evolution's hitting a little bit. You're not seeing that much test in Rivals. But the only thing that you're really seeing in the shelves is Perfect Order right now. Phantasmal Flames, Mega Evolution. We're seeing the new stuff hitting the shelves. Are people really shooting themselves over Perfect Order and Phantasmal Flames? Like, dang, that's wild. That's wild. But, okay, so maybe you're not getting Pokemon cards at MSRP, but now you're going to vending shows because you're more of an advanced collector. So you're going to go to shops, you're going to go to vending shows, you're going to go to conventions, right? And rather than you evolve as a person and you're not longer ripping, you're buying singles because it's more cost efficient. Since now you have a budget and you have a happy life, happy marriage, happy life, right? So you buy singles instead. Should you wait if your card is cheap, or if you really like the card, do you buy it regardless it's cheap? Let's look at this next video and see if this has ever happened to you.
I should buy a Van Gogh Pikachu. I think I'll wait for the price to go down. I should buy a Van Gogh Pikachu. I think I'll wait for the price to go down. Yep, this is why I'm always broke.
That one video was made by Dude Tacular. Jesus Christ. Dude Tacular. Now, how many times has it happened to you where there's a couple cards that you want to collect, right? Because it's not just one card. Maybe it is, like me, one card, right? But there's multiple cards that you want to try to collect. And you see the price right now, it's like, oh, it's still cheap. I'll just wait a little bit longer. I'm going to buy some of the higher end stuff. That I need. And then you do, but whenever you go to the card that you wanted to collect, now it's stupid expensive. I think it's happened to me a lot. And I think it really happens to me the most is with promo cards. I think promo cards from the ETBs are fantastic cards to invest on or to even collect, right? And I'm not really much of a master setter. I'm not much of a master setter, so I don't care about collecting every single card. But there's certain Pokemons that I really want to focus on. But like 151 was one of those cards that like 151 is one of those sets that I really want. Not 151 set, but just Generation 1 Pokemon. I want to get like a full illustration rare of every single 151 Pokemon of the Gen 1s, right? Now, it's happened to me, and it might be happening to you too, with the Ghastly of Temporal Forces. That card for a Stage 1 Pokemon, for a Ghastly, is going for over $100 at the moment. And that is insane. Look, Temporal Forces was never has been a very popular set. But now, the prices on Temporal Forces is slowly going up because people are really chasing that Ghastly. And oh my god, that Gengar tax is real. Not only are we seeing it and that Ghastly from Temporal Forces, we're also seeing the value of the Haunter from the Mega Evolution Battle Dex promo card going crazy high. And yeah, sure enough, we do have a Mega Gengar card. But we also seen it on the regular full art Gengar cards. The prices of those cards are going up, which is like insane, But literally, I got priced out of Ghastly. I'm gonna have to wait until we get a different Ghastly, another full art rare illustration card to come up that I can buy at a reasonable price. And here's the thing: there's certain Pokemons now that you can't avoid. If you're trying to make some money, if you're trying to increase the value of your collection and you need trade fodder, there's certain Pokemons that you can't avoid. We already understand this with Mewtwo and Mew, right? We also understand this with the evolutions and also the Gen 1 starters. But basically right now, it's almost every single Gen 1 Pokemon is popping off, but it happened with Gengar. Now we got Haunter, and now we got Ghastly. We got the full evolution line. So if you ever see any of those cards, like, get them early before it's too late. Like, those cards are being extremely expensive. We're seeing Ditto cards go for an extremely high price. Raichu, the Pikachu family, going for an extremely high price, right? Look, my thing is always going to be collect what you want to collect. But from now on, if your collection, if you only like to collect the meta Pokemon, like the starters, like Gengar, like Mew and Mewtwo, like the legendaries, right? If you want to collect what everyone is collecting, then don't be afraid to buy it at a high price, because there's a good chance you're not going to get it at a low price. And that's kind of unfortunate, right? But let's say I did buy multiple cards of the Ghastly, right? And I'm like, okay, well, I want to send them to get graded, and I do send them to get graded. However, I was an idiot, and I didn't send them graded for tag. I sent them to get graded to PSA, to a subjective grading company, someone that grades your cards, but they don't give you any feedback at all whatsoever. I get my cards back, and I got solid 10s. If PSA continues to go higher or maintain its gold standard, right, as the number one option, what's gonna happen to the 10s? Because from now on, I'm like, look, it's gonna make sense, right? But we're getting to the point of the hobby where not everyone trusts PSAs. They hold cards, they're trying to sell back to you, or like, no, they're trying to buy your PSA 9s so they get magically converted to 10. It's happened more than once, and it's happening pretty consistently. So are we gonna have a grading company that grades grading cards? If you don't believe me, this person makes this perfectly good example of it. And look, let's go ahead and look at it.
Hey Ken, look at this super duper expensive card that I have.
Whoa! Let me check the condition.
What do you mean? It's a PSA 10.
I gotta see how good of a PSA 10 it is.
What's that supposed to mean? It's like the best condition.
No. I need to see if the actual card is an actual really good PSA 10 from the PSA 10 that it already is in. So I re-authenticate and give you another grade on top of the grade that you already got.
Huh?
So this looks really, really clean. I'll give this one a silver label.
What are you doing?
I just authenticated it.
But, like, what is the point of that?
Oh, to add on even more value, because it's actually a good PSA 10.
I'm gonna go ahead and cut it off there. But whenever we start looking at this comment, it is comedy, but you know what they say, there's always a little truth behind comedy, or however that saying freaking goes. We all know that not every single PSA 10 deserves that PSA 10. And it makes sense whenever you look at how they do their business practices. You have random individuals grading cards, grading multiple cards, and different people have different standards, right? People who have low standards marry my ex. People who have higher standards, like myself, marry the woman that you have now, right? But whenever it comes to PSA and subjective grading, there's guidelines for gradings, but it cannot be replicated to the same degree at 100%. So that's why I'm a big advocate for tag AI grading, because it's mostly being graded by a machine, by a system, by like AI. And then yes, you do get a secondary input into it. But the fact that you have people talking about, I'm going to go ahead and grade your PSA 10 to see if it's really a 10 is insane commentary. That's an insane meta joke, right? That there's gonna be another companies, or there are companies grading graded cards. That is ridiculous. But it does happen, and it is true. But are we really to that point of the hobby where we're grading graded cards? Like, I hope not. Like, I really hope not. And look, big advocate for tag. Here, background, thumbnails, no question about it. Tag to the moon, right? Tag number one, you know. Let's go tag, taggy, right? But that's insane. Like, that's really insane. And more people are starting to jump in the tag bandwagon. Tag is increasing their grading prices. They took away bulk. The time is remaining the same. The business is expanding, right? But it's more than just a come up now. Like, tag is like, I'm not gonna blow it up. Tag is here. It's a mainstay. If the tag slabs, the low population ones, are selling for more than PSA, once got lucky. Consistently, not a fluke, right? I've already talked about certain ones like the Mega Charizard X EX. I've already talked about the Pokemon, or no, not yet. That one hasn't happened yet. But basic Charizard 2. They're gonna be selling a Tag 8 Pokemon Illustrator. They're gonna auction it off. So it's happening more and more. We're talking even some of the more vintage cards and promos like Gengars, Charizards, and Pikachus, right? One, fool me once. Twice, shame on you. Thrice, like, no, this is it. Like, it's already here and there's no denying it. Like, tag is gonna end up being the biggest competitor to PSA, just because you don't see that much CGC supporters. It's the cheaper stuff, and not everyone's willing to pay the cheaper stuff, especially if it's still going to leave questions of ambiguity to your cards, right? So tag is here to stay, right? But the fact that someone's making jokes about having a grading company that grades graded cards is ridiculous. And even then, like, it's, how's that even possible? Is he the master grader? In order to grade the PSA 10s and have the final say, he has to be the master grader. But how do we get to the master grader position, right? Are they the PSA's Hall of Famers? Like, you know, are these the top tier graders? It's an insane topic. I think that's a different topic for another session. But that's insane. Now, for the last and final video. Okay, like, let's say you've been in the hobby for a while and you've collected cards at MSRP. You've traded cards, you've graded some cards to increase the value of your collection because you are a collector and not a vendor. But now you want to get some of the bigger chase cards in bigger cities, right? In bigger shows. So the only way that you're going to be able to make that kind of money is by being a vendor. And so now that you're vending, you're starting with a very modest collection, which is absolutely nothing wrong. But what if this happens to you?
Alright, man. Take all your slabs, give you 10 grand on it.
Yeah, I'm gonna need like 15, man.
15?
We're super far off.
15.
We're not even close.
Bro, come on, man.
I'll do you a solid. I'll do 14.5.
12.5. Meet me halfway.
Alright, that works for me.
12.5?
12.5. Let's do it.
Honestly, that's a great video, because myself and Scalper Chris are thinking about eventually doing a unbending show together, right? I'm mostly there to bring energy to the crowd, make deals, you know, videotake on people taking advantage of Scalper Chris, right? But our collections are very modest. Nothing crazy. We're both blue collar workers. We're both postmen who live in the 6th biggest city in Texas, right? Currently. So, you know, our collection is not going to be crazy. And we talked about this before. It's like the people we have here, and I'm like not throwing any shade, but they're not big spenders. They're not big ballers. And the reason why I said this is because you can go to the biggest convention that we have in the city and you don't see a lot of tables selling graded cards. It's mostly a raw card market, so that's not bad, right? So you're seeing, you know, you do see here like $100 deals, $200 deals, but to constantly hear over like 10K deals, you don't see that here. And will we get to that stage? Maybe. I guess it just really depends if these vendors go out, they come back, they buy Pokemon cards. I think really the ecosystem for that kind of stuff not only comes from like the money from the new collectors coming into the hobby, but the money that the vendors, if they branch out to bigger conventions, the money and the cards that they bring to these conventions. Because we talked about other vendors, and they tell us, yeah, here, my city, small market city, we're talking about raw cards move the best. But you go more central, graded cards move even better because they got that rich oil money, right? Which is an interesting take. But me and Chris, we have two different mentalities. He wants to focus like on $30 to $50 cards, right, for his vending show. And for me and my side, I want to do $10 max for the most part and below. Why? Because I want to make sure that I have the cards that everyday collector have. If they want a stupid Buzzsaw card, I want to have it. I want to have your guys' Dittos. I want to go ahead and have your Spearows, Rapidashes, what's Denenes, I want to focus from the cards for everyone, so that way I'm constantly doing deals, but at the same time, like, I can help you guys have a good time in your guys' experience, right? Like, I like my collection. Like, this is crazy that I'm saying like rather than love. I like my collection, right? But this is like early in its stages. Like, I'm gonna be here for a long time, right? So whatever I like now, either I'll love later on or I won't, right? But I want to focus on the small items. He wants to focus on the bigger items. But none of us are really talking about graded cards, just because graded cards are the people's budgets over here, and they should be on a budget. But it's insane. Like, so all this. So we're talking about celebrities doing movie trailer videos showing off their collections. We are talking about whenever a collector comes in a position of a fresh restock and they remain a collector or they become a scalper. We're talking about cards. You should be buying your cards and don't wait up to buy these cards whenever they're higher prices, right? We also talked about companies that grade graded cards. And last thing, we're talking about vendor problems. We're talking about problems where some small vendor is right next to some big vendor who are making $1,000 deals on a day-to-day average. Like, right? Is the Pokemon TCG the current meta that everyone's running? I want to say yes. Like, I know we have big and strong indicators about a recession. I know not too long ago we had NFTs, we had Labubus, right? We've had cryptocurrency. I think we even had a strong surge in stocks and investing content and real estate. But now it's TCG, right? And I know it's TCG because we have McDonald's getting rid of their car or incorporating TCG items, especially like collaborations. That's insane. I know this is probably fan made, but they're gonna bring back like the Pop-Tarts, the Pokemon Pop-Tarts. What if there's a promo card in there? So now we have Pop-Tarts doing promo cards. Are we also going to have cereal doing promo cards? Are we going to be doing other companies, Hershey's, things that are on their set companies that might be struggling right now because, money is tight. We're hitting into a recession, so more people are actually buying better quality food and not shit, right? Not trash. But they're putting promo cards so they can get their sales back up. Like, that's insane. If you have the companies targeting a certain group, and that group shows that have the most amount of money or most disposable income because they're seeing these $1 million transactions, that should tell you everything right now. That we're currently in this simulation of the world, we're running a Pokemon, or not a Pokemon, but we're running a TCG meta. Like, that's the current meta, a TCG build. That's insane. Honestly, that is extremely insane. But outside from that, I really do hope that you guys have a fantastic day. If you have any comments about the things that we talked about, please don't be afraid to drop a comment. I'll go ahead and like and reply your guys' comments. I always do. Please, I appreciate the love and the support and everything that you guys do. However, like always, please have a wonderful day, and I'll talk to you guys next time. Peace.